Hi guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I'm finally here with a new process video for you today. This is the picture I'm going to be working with, and these are some of Crafty Jen Schow's new cut files. So that larger circle is the size that they come at, and I just made them a little bit smaller because I'm going to use them as some embellishments on my page. And there you see I've got the watercolor crayons that are new at Michael's from Recollections, and I am just kind of making a pattern on just a sheet of white cardstock. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my mister and use some water to go ahead and watercolor some of those, kind of make the lines flow a little easier together, and kind of blend the colors so that everything shows up really well and looks like it was intentional. And then what I do is I go ahead and let it dry, and then I go back with my circle punch and punch out shapes to put behind each of those little cut files. So there you can see I have So Cool, So You, and So Loved are going to be the three little embellishments that I use in my embellishment clusters today. So I'm starting off with just a sheet of white cardstock, and I'm going around the edge with my distressed ink in Cracked Pistachio. And I'm actually going to go back later in the video and decide that that is not quite bright enough. And I switch to Peacock Feathers and end up liking the blue contrast a lot better with that one. So I'm just doing that on all of the edges of the white paper right now. I apologize for the long delay in videos. We went from spring break straight into this massive Harry Potter birthday party extravaganza for my 9-year-old. So I have been creating a lot, but not anything scrapbook related as we get ready for his party. So this is the first chance I've had to actually sit down and do a layout. And so you should see my channel get a lot more regular after this because this long break has been just terrible. So I went ahead and cut a 4-inch strip of that purple watercolor paper, and then I pulled out a tiny black and white border strip that I went ahead and tucked in behind it to just add a little bit more contrast. And then I'm going to use this floral that has the same colors I used with watercolor crayons and create a shelf. So I can use that shelf both for my title as well as for my photo itself to sit on. And the colors are going to go really nicely with the colors that I watercolored. So I'm just going to go ahead and move things over to make sure that I have everything centered the way that I want it to create the base of this layout. And this was a picture of my daughter from our trip to San Diego. Just her and I went on. And so these individual trips I do with the kids, each kid gets to go on their own, and hers was to San Diego, and this was actually at SeaWorld. And one of the big extravagances is that they get to eat this fancy food and have dessert in the middle of the day if they want, and those are all the kinds of rules that we break on these mommy and me trips that we go on. So she was very excited. This was her first time going, and so she was really, really excited that she was being allowed to eat this pretty much in the middle of the day whenever she wanted. And I'm going to add that doily up in the corner to kind of tie in the white, and then I'm just going to play with where I am placing those embellishments. And then this is where I decide to go back and switch to that peacock feathers because it's a little bit brighter. And I actually go right around the edge of the doily, which is going to help it stand out against the white background and just give it a little bit of interest because I kind of ruffle up that edge, as you'll see later in the video as well. And I just go all the way around, making sure that I'm getting into all the little grooves and just adding that color to the outside edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and tuck it back underneath that picture. I was ruffling it up just a little bit, making it stand out. Anything we can do to create dimension, right guys? And then I go ahead and decide to add some of that dark purple that I added to the picture to the back of that strip that I'm using for my shelf, just so that each section of this layout kind of stands out a little bit from the other sections. And it creates a good divider there and kind of gives me more of that defined L shape that I am creating on this layout. And then I'm going to start to play with the different little embellishments. So I know that I wanted to use those cut file circles from Crafty Jen Schow, which is where this layout idea or concept kind of started from, was that I really liked those and I wanted to make them embellishment size. And I'm just going to create that visual triangle around my photo using all three of those that I picked. And I just kind of play with the placement a little bit to make sure that I'm happy with how everything kind of goes together and how the colors are fitting together as well. And then you'll see I had pulled out already some different embellishments in the colors of the layout. So I'm just kind of gathering up some of that stuff, trying to see what I might want to use, not use, what I like, what colors are going to match. I unfortunately or fortunately, one way or the other, have a huge stash. So a lot of times it's really helpful for me if I pull out just a few things and have those right next to me on my desk so that I can go ahead and just choose from those and see what I can make work without constantly going back and forth to the rest of my stash to see what I can find, or hey, I know I have this but I don't know where it is, because then I tend to not make any decisions at all, which definitely does not help. So for right now, you're going to see me put that XOXO die cut down at the bottom. It doesn't end up staying there. It actually doesn't end up going on this layout at all. But the colors were right, and it did actually fit. And it looked okay on the layout. I also try it up near the top later on in the video, you'll see. And it would have looked okay, but I decided against it. And here I pulled out some of my Heidi Swap embellishments, and these are just some washi tape strips. And I like that they are watercolored, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull out that black and white watercolor strip, and I go ahead and cut it out of the book because that way it's not sticky on the back right now and I can still change my mind. I am definitely one of those scrapbookers who plays with all the embellishments and the placement of things, so I don't like anything to be sticky when I put it on there to see if I'm going to keep it. And this is a perfect example because that little strip that I throw back there doesn't actually end up staying and making it onto the final layout. So just leaving it on the paper kind of gives me that option to change my mind later. And then I go ahead and keep playing with some of these other embellishments. You saw that I added that little purple striped heart on the right side of the layout, and that's going to end up staying there, but I am going to go back and add some detail to it with the peacock feathers so that it also stands out a little bit and kind of goes with everything else. And then I decided to use these big Amy Tan black words for my title, because it's really going to stand out and kind of bring in a different element to this layout. And the nice big title really stands out well against that shelf on the bottom. So my title is just going to say "With You," since this was a trip just me and my daughter. And I just go ahead and spend some time lining all of that stuff up, making sure I'm happy with the placement of where everything is. And then I also add one of those open hearts up in the top embellishment cluster to kind of tie the black together. And then what I do in one embellishment cluster, I always like to do in the other embellishment clusters as well. So I'm kind of looking through my options, seeing if I can find some little black detail that I can add to the two other embellishment clusters I have going on. And so I'm looking in a different package. This is also from Amy Tangerine, and they had that cute little curly Q design, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to the bottom left corner to bring in some of the black there. And then I'm going to go back and start looking for something to add to that purple heart. And so I'm going to look through those two die cut packs again and find these little black X's and kind of plus sign details and go ahead and add that right onto the heart. And that way I have that black color showing up throughout the layout, so it kind of flows. If you have it in just one place, it looks kind of awkward having that black contrast just in one spot. So I like to carry that through each of my embellishment clusters to make sure everything flows together and you have consistency throughout the entire layout. So now I'm just looking through some of my other embellishments, trying to see what else I want to go ahead and add to this layout. And I have these little puffy heart stickers. And I go ahead and look through those, and I'm going to add a few of those in either the black or the pale green color. So there's two of them up there in that top cluster, and then I'm also going to add one down on the bottom with that So Cool die cut. And I just play with where to place that here for a second and end up with it on the bottom corner. And I really like it down there. I think it adds just enough detail to that die cut where the die cut still stands out. But you know that the whole layout is flowing together and that heart pattern continues throughout the entire thing. Then I go back and ruffle up that edge just a little bit. And I'm going to add one more heart. I don't know if you'll see it in the video or in the final pictures. I add one more heart at the bottom where it says "With You." I put a little black heart down at the end to kind of tie it all together. There I am playing with that XOXO again, trying to make it work, and it just didn't didn't click for me on this one. So that's basically the final layout, and you can see the final one here that has the extra inking detail. I hope you enjoyed this layout, and I hope you'll come back and see me again. Click like and subscribe if you liked what you saw, and I will be back soon to show you some more process videos. Bye!